Well, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. We are going to record this event. I'm going to go ahead and ask our guests that are on if you could go ahead and mute your phones for now, and at the end we'll open it up for questions. Would appreciate it if you do that. So welcome to our first edition of Cypress Live. We'll be hosting these events every so often in order to keep you up to speed on the ongoing events and happenings in the industry and things that are going on here at Northwest Forest. As I said, these events will be recorded and placed on the Owners Network for later review. So if you're unable to attend any of the future events, these will be posted and you can go back and watch at your own leisure. Let us know if there are topics you'd like us to cover in future webinars. In the future, we do look at inviting vendors to speak or having guest speakers to come and cover certain topics. But we want to make sure that you find value in this. So if there are certain things that you'd like us to cover, let us know and we'll be glad to research that. So the first thing that I want to do this morning is have the staff introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do. So I'm going to switch here to our camera and go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves, and then they're going to go ahead and get back to work, and we'll finish out the webinar this morning. Okay, let's start here with Nancy.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Arnold, as most of you know, and I've been part of this organization for 38 years. And yes, I was 12 when I started. I was a Quick Happy franchisee in the 80s and 90s. I work with Jay on vendor relations. I write your newsletters and your bulletins, and I work with our designers on content and look. I also handle all the details for resales, working with you, your brokers, and the potential buyers. I assign and monitor the peer consultants in their visits and work closely with legal and accounting on your franchise issues. I take care of the details on our seminars and conferences where you stay, what you eat, and that sort of thing. And whatever else Jay tells me to do.
All right. Thank you, Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nadine Jorgensen. I'm the graphic designer in the print shop. I do any kind of custom design that you like: banners, posters, brochures, business cards, all the like. So I have a lot of fun here. It's an awesome boss to work for.
Thanks. I'll pay you later for that. Yes, so if you guys ever run into any issues with graphic design or need some help, let us know. We do have a very, very talented designer on staff that can help out with things. Pat?
Good morning. I'm Pat Surik. I've been with ICE for 22 years, and I am the manager of our call center and also part of the franchise support team. I can make any type of calls, customer service calls, appointment calls, any type of calls that you would like made. So.
John Roberts. I'm working direct mail. I can do mail list purchases, NCOA mail lists, sort your list if you need it sorted and ready for the post office.
We heard no video.
I've been with the company for about 3.5 years. I handle incoming calls, help with the call center, and marketing.
Hi, I'm Kim Mitchell. I'm project coordinator in the accounts payable department.
Good morning. My name is Pam Hugo. I've been with the company for 21 years. I work with the legal department, and I handle all the contracts and renewals and resales and renewals and anything needed. So.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Hudson. I do the customer service on the AWT orders desk, entering work orders. Also, I do the printing collections for AWT, and also I do the accounting for AWT checks.
Thanks, Andy. And Rosie.
Hi, I'm Rosie. I've been with ICE for 23 years. and I look over the jobs that come out of the print shop, make sure everything is okay and they're on time. So I started in the bindery, and now I'm kind of managing a little bit on the print shop.
Thank you, Rosie. Gary.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Tamperillo. I assist owners, you guys, on a regular basis. If you call me whenever you need anything, and I work with a lot of the technical stuff, print, your websites, Owners Network, maintain that, and other areas. So just about everything that Jay needs me to do, Nancy needs me to do, I take care of.
All right, thank you, Gary. And I'm Jay Groot, and I oversee all of the print brands and the AWT. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming this morning and sharing a little of your time with us. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
All right, the next topic I'd like to cover this morning is Google AdWords. Most of you probably know, but some may not, that since the beginning of the year we've been funding Google AdWords program to help drive traffic to the centers. We're using Info Group USA. It's a subsidiary of Info USA and also a Google partner to manage the campaign. So here are our results so far for 2017. All of our print centers are in the program. Google AdWords has, I'm going to ask one more time if everybody can go ahead and mute your microphone for now, and then we'll open it up at the end for questions. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Again, we've been running this campaign since the beginning of the year for all of our centers. We've spent about $8,000 so far. This goes through April here. We've got 138,000 impressions. That means that all of the websites have shown up in some form or the other when somebody was doing a search. We've had 4,200 click-throughs where people have actually clicked through and went to your website. And out of that, we've had 127 conversions where they've clicked on a phone number, and we can actually track that they've contacted a location. We are very pleased with these results, and we're going to continue this campaign. We are going in and reviewing the keywords all the time and making adjustments. But so far, the campaign has seemed to work pretty good, and we are seeing some good results. I've talked to some owners who have seen an increase in folks finding them on Google. So if you have any feedback or if you're seeing an increase, please let us know about it. If you'd like to see the particular keywords that are being used for your center, just shoot me or Gary an email. We can contact the Info USA folks, and they'll share that with us, and then we can share that with you. We can adjust those as needed. The way it works now, Info USA has gone out with bots and also human beings to look at the websites and see what the keywords are for each one of our sites, and those are the ones that they've applied. And yeah, I get reports every week, and I'll be happy to share individual reports for each center. If you'd like to see that, again, you can contact Gary or I, and we'll be happy to share that with you. Next thing I'd like to talk about are a little bit some of the trends that we see going on within our own system. Took a look at 2016 sales system-wide. What we're seeing is some growth in outsourcing. We saw 2% growth to 19% from 17% in 2016. We're also seeing continued growth in wide format. This is our third year in a row that we've had growth in the wide format area, where it's grown from 3% in just last year to a total of 9% of sales now. And digital color, which has been growing over the past 10 years pretty consistently, we're still seeing a 2% gain it now makes up 20% of the sales. So hopefully everybody, I would imagine everybody's kind of seeing those trends. Probably the biggest one that affects us is the growth in outsourcing. That's definitely going to have an effect on your cost of goods, as it's more expensive to order things out than it is to produce in-house. Again, no surprise, the areas we're seeing declining are black and white digital. It dropped off only 1%, but it is down to 15% of total sales. And I would imagine we'll continue to see a decline. In fact, I know that there are some centers that when the leases are coming up on their black and white copiers, they're not purchasing new. Since we're seeing the growth on the color side, they're just going with color units. And yes, they're paying more for the black and white to run it on the color, but it does save them the lease payment on a black and white machine. And as color gets cheaper, I do see the black and white continuing to decline. And then, of course, those of you that still have presses out there, we continue to see decline in the offset region. Our two-color offset has continued to decline by 2% to only 9% of our sales, which we've seen significant drops in the past 10 years in two-color offset. One of the new technologies that we need to be aware of, and at our recent best practices workshop, we actually had Canon come in and talk about inkjet technology that's coming out for production cut sheet presses or copier machines. Soon that's going to replace toner. It'll probably be 4 to 5 years before that happens, but you need to be aware of that when you're considering leasing new toner-based equipment. They've currently got the inkjet cut sheet machines out there now. They're extremely expensive. They started out at about $1 million. They're already coming down in cost, and I think in 4 or 5 years, we're going to see them be competitive with our current toner-based machines. And eventually the toner machines will be going away, just like the analog machines went away, because the inkjet machines are going to be cheaper to run. There's going to be a lot less moving parts in them, and therefore the maintenance is going to be less, and so all the manufacturers are going to be moving to inkjet. They have seemed to work out the problem that they had with the matted stocks by coating the paper before doing the inkjet. So again, that is the big trend in our industry that we're going to see. We're not quite there yet, but in the next 4 or 5 years, I think those machines are going to come down in price. And the one thing about it, it's going to be very, very inexpensive versus a toner-based machine on the click charges. We're talking color click charges as low as black and white click charges are now on the color side is what inkjet's going to be. So it's going to be a real game changer once these machines hit the market and get more competitive. Not quite there yet, but it will be soon, and it bears watching. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today is our benchmarking study that was recently done by the NPRC. And everybody in our industry is eligible to participate in these, and we usually publish it in the update when these surveys go out. And if you participate in the survey, you get a free copy of the benchmarking study. So I do highly encourage you when they put the call out to participate in these surveys that you take advantage of it, because there's a lot of good information in these benchmarking surveys. But just like to review some of the key things that I saw in this recent. The data here is from the 2017 benchmark study, which was based on 2016 numbers. It included 124 participants. The average age of the company was 32 years. 20% of the participants are franchised locations, 80% are independent, and a quarter of them, and I will note that it was the ones that are in the higher tier were all involved in peer or focus groups. But here's some of what we saw. your cost of goods have definitely risen over the years. If you look back to 2009, our cost of goods were 29.5. They were up 5 years ago in 2011 to 31.2, slid down a little bit back to 31%. The reason I think that we're seeing the increase in the cost of goods is because we're outsourcing more. And that's definitely going to skew our numbers up. Now, in our system, we've always had a little bit lower cost of goods than the industry average. So hopefully most of you are seeing numbers somewhere in the high 20s now, as opposed to 30s. But again, this was the average, not the target. But we are seeing higher cost of goods. Overhead, if you look, overhead has come down since 2009, down from 26.9 to 22. So that's a good trend that we're seeing. We are down even over the last 5 years, down to 22. Again, that probably has to do with outsourcing. As we outsource more, we need less equipment, less space, and things like that can contribute to overhead costs. And then another thing that we're seeing is our payroll expenses down. So while cost of goods are up, our payroll is down and our overhead is down. So what's that mean for you? The good news is we're seeing owner's compensation at about 16% versus back in 2009 at 10%. And just 5 years ago at 11.5. So looks like that, the centers are recovering well, but we do need to keep an eye on the cost of goods number as we continue to outsource more. I see that going up, so that means that we'll have to make adjustments in our overhead costs to compensate for higher cost of goods. All right, next thing I want to talk about is our 27 marketing campaign that we've had out. And we continue to put the material up on the Owners Network for your use. What we've done for 2017 is we have a newsletter campaign, we have an e-newsletter campaign, we have blog material, we have a postcard, and all these are monthly. And I'm going to ask Nancy to talk a little bit about the marketing campaign right now because she works closely with our designers on putting this together.
Well, we do have a real robust campaign. One piece may not suit you, but one of the other pieces may. So, as Jay mentioned, we have a newsletter which is produced in both print and in digital. So you can put it up on your constant contact, or you can print and mail. And Jay's going to talk to you in a minute about us printing and mailing it for you. The postcard is the sales piece. That is each month has a theme. For instance, this month is promotional items. The things that you don't have to produce in-house, you can order and sell and get a better margin on those. But the postcard is the sales piece. Then the newsletter and all of the blog material, those are common interest things. These are ideas that came out of some previous focus groups. People said they don't want the newsletters that they mail out to their customers to be all oriented on buy printing. So these have common interest ideas. For instance, there's usually a recipe section that is appropriate for the season. This one is summer, so you've got grilling recipes. We have a common piece in there about the Berry College eaglets. There's an eagle's nest at the Berry College in Georgia, and with a constant camera on them watching the parent eagles make their nest, lay their eggs, nurture the eggs, hatch the eggs, and then eventually we watch the baby eaglets grow up and fly away. So that's always interesting, and we hear from owners that their customers really follow those eaglets and put those up. We've added a crossword puzzle to the print edition, and that apparently is getting some notice by customers. So you have a number of options. You've got the newsletter, the postcard, the blog to put on your own website, and you have the digital newsletter that can be used with Constant Contact or MailChimp, any of your email marketing. And we can help you with any of those pieces. It's not something you have to do. We've allowed an open column on the newsletter. So if you want to use that as a feature for your location, maybe you want to have a drawing, maybe you want to feature an employee or a customer, some common interest that is to your location, that column is open for you to put stuff in, or we give you some drop-in columns already sized and ready to go in. So there are a number of options, and the good thing is, and what we've heard back from you is, I don't have to do my own. I don't have time for that. I've got stuff to do for customers to make some money. So we've got it all designed. It's very professionally done, and all of the images in there, by the way, are open. They're licensed. We've bought the licenses for those things, so you can certainly use them. We can also print and mail all of this stuff for you. The postcards are 6 cents a piece, plus postage. The newsletters, an 11 by 17, two-sided full color, folded down to 8.5 by 5.5, addressed and mailed. Using your mailing list is 18 cents plus postage. If you want to do a targeted mailing for less than 200, then that goes at first class. If you want to do for your mail list, say has 500 on it, that goes bulk rate. Maybe you don't like any of our stuff. Well, you've got your own design things and you want to send those in, we will print and mail those for the same cost. So you've got options, and it frees up your design and your production facility, and we can take care of all the production. The key is consistency. You want to constantly, monthly, do mailings. Daryl, you're on here, so you use the materials and you do a constant mailing, and you see the response to it. So, and others do the same thing. So we encourage you to use all this. Now, maybe your mail list isn't as up to date as you would like it to be. You met Pat a few minutes ago. Pat and the folks that work with her can clean up your mail list. They can make the calls, get the right contact, make sure that there's a correct mailing or email address, and we do all that for you at no charge. So you have a number of options. The key is to use them and use them consistently.
Right, and we instituted this direct turnkey option with the postcards and the newsletters. After we had our marketing meeting at conference last year, what we heard from the owners that were in attendance was that they just didn't have time to market. Well, that's fine. Just send it to us. We've priced it. It's pretty much our cost at 0.6 for the postcard and 18 for the newsletter. So send it to us. Let us do it. Right now, the orders that have been coming in, you can upload your mail list, send us the postcard, use one of ours, send us your own. We'll be glad to do it. And we've, on average, been getting those mailings out within 24 hours. So not only can we get it out, or if you'd like to schedule it for a specific day, send us the stuff. We'll get it ready. We'll have it on the shelf. Drop it at the post office on the date that you specify. So don't have time to do your own marketing, send it to us, let us do it, and we'll make it very affordable for you. Be happy to help. All right, next I'd like to talk a little bit about our next conference. We're going to tie in with the Graph Expo 2017 in Chicago. The dates are September 8th through 11. Again, it'll be during Print 17, which is the Graph Expo event at the McCormick Center. Last year we had one class before we had our awards dinner. This year we're going to sponsor a full day of iced workshops. So that'll take place on a Saturday. We expect people will arrive on a Friday evening. We'll have workshops all day on Saturday at the hotel, and then Graph Expo starts the following day on the 17th. And most people stay at least 1 or 2 days at Graph Expo. We are currently looking at the Warwick Allerton, which is on the Miracle Mile in downtown Chicago, and it's on the Expo bus route. So I think it's going to be a great event. If you've never been to the Graph Expo, it's a pretty incredible show. If you went last year, it was in Orlando, and usually that's a smaller show. This year it's back in Chicago, where it typically is, and looking forward to a much bigger show and a good event. All right, and last thing before we open it up for questions is we're going to start new focus groups later this year. We've wrapped up our series of what we called our best practices workshops, where we traveled and visited various centers throughout the United States. We went to Salt Lake, Nashville, Dallas, and just finished our last one here in Houston. They were well attended and did really well. But talking to the folks, they like to get back a little bit more to the focus groups like we used to, that includes a financial component to it. So we are tentatively scheduling our next focus group meeting for later this year, October 26th through 28th. Have not determined where we're going to hold that meeting, whether it'll be here in Houston or at a center. But what we're going to do is, if you'll sign up for a focus group, we're going to meet every 6 months. In between, we'll have a phone call follow-up. We may do the first one here in Houston, but then after that, visit various members of the focus group centers. I think that's important to see how other people do things and share that with the group. We will get back to doing a financial review each meeting, which means you'll have to submit your financials at least a month prior to the meeting, so we can get them in here. We can crunch the numbers, put everybody's numbers in the same format, so when we get together to meet, we can go down the spreadsheet and compare apples to apples. Each meeting will also include some operational roundtable discussions. We spent one day of the best practices sessions on just discussing ongoing issues that you're facing, and that was very successful and very popular with those attendees, so we'd like to continue that. And then, of course, we'll end each meeting with goal setting, which we will touch on when we do the follow-up phone calls, and when we get together every 6 months for the actual focus group meeting. So if you're interested in signing up for a focus group, please let me know. Again, our potential dates are October 26th through 28th. That would be a Thursday through Saturday. Most attendees will arrive on Thursday. We'll do something for dinner or have some discussion on Thursday evening, work all day Friday, all day Saturday, and wrap up around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you can be on your way home Saturday night. We're going to limit each group to 8 people. We know from our past experience that if we get more than 8 people in a group, it's just hard for everybody to get value out of it. But if we have more than 8 people that sign up and we need to do multiple groups, we can do that. So again, if you're interested, please let myself, Gary, or Nancy know. We'll put you on the list and we'll keep you up to date as this develops. But I'm excited about it and look forward to getting back to the focus groups later this year. All right. And that's all I had. If everybody wants to go ahead and unmute your mics, we'll be glad to open it up for any questions that you might have.
Give me a second to unmute once I can hear.
Gary, can you turn off the volume? Anybody have any questions?
Jason has a message that sounds good.
Okay. Have you unmuted everybody,
Mhm.
Gary?
Everybody that I could unmute.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
It's From
Can you hear me?
Jason.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'll be interested in joining the focus group, of course.
Great. Thank you, Daryl.
Um,
We look forward to seeing you in Chicago later this year, too.
yep, that'd be nice. And are we
Good.
going to get a copy of these notes that you just had on today?
Actually, this has all been recorded and it's going to be posted up, but I can send you a copy of the slide if you like it.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
And one other thing, as far as I'm concerned anyway, as far as AdWords are concerned, if you can be sure
Yes.
they add the word inkwell on our particular AdWord part, because there's no longer an inkwell in Chicago. So if anybody in the Chicago area says they're looking for inkwell, it should automatically come to us.
All right. I'll get with them and make sure that that's added. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody is muted right now, push *6 on your phone to unmute if you're connected via phone.
I've got another question. Is as far as my AdWords are concerned, would I need to reduce them or completely, or do I still subscribe to AdWords from Chicago?
Well, our campaign, if we're running our campaign, it would be independent of anything that you're doing, and you may have different AdWords. What I would recommend is that you get with us and let us get you a list of the AdWords that InfoUSA has determined are the ones that work for your site, and then you
Okay.
can make changes from that. So
Okay.
we'll get you a list of your specifics, and then you can
Yeah.
see how your results have been as well for the entire year.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Well, I hope everybody does like this format. We're going to be doing this from time to time. Probably do another one in sometime in July, since it's already June 1st. And hopefully we can bring some value to you by doing this. I do want to remind you that we're here to support you, and we're not successful unless you're successful. So if there's anything that we can do to do our jobs better and help you, please call me, call Nancy, call Gary, let us know. We're here to help. And unless anybody else has anything or any questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the day. I do want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to attend this morning. I know your time is valuable, and for some of you, this is probably the middle of your production day. But I do appreciate you guys taking time to be here. All right. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.